"Oh, that's my ex. I thought it'd be nice to have him there," my girlfriend said. While finalizing our guest list, I didn't argue, just let her think the invitation would reach him weeks later. The person who replied wasn't who she expected. "I am Kaz 27M, investment banker here in Boston. Been with my girlfriend Eva 25F for 2 years. Engaged for 8 months. Wedding planned for the 15th of January. Eva works in marketing and we met through mutual friends at a work networking event. Yesterday I was reviewing the final guest list with our wedding planner Lysander when I noticed a name I didn't recognize. Sebastian Fairmont +1. Asked Eva about it and she casually said, "Oh, that is my ex. I thought it would be nice to have him there." I was floored. "You invited your ex-boyfriend to our wedding? Without discussing it with me?" CA's Sebastian and I stayed friends after we broke up. We dated years ago. It is ancient history. I want him to see how happy I am. Something about her tone felt off, but I tried to stay reasonable. "How long did you two date?" It was casual. "Maybe a year." We realized we were better as friends. This didn't sit right with me. Eva's mentioned Sebastian multiple times throughout our relationship, always in passing, but enough that I noticed the name. She has said things like, "Sebastian used to say that," or "Sebastian introduced me to this restaurant." For someone who was just a casual ex, he seemed to occupy a lot of mental real estate. "Eva, I am not comfortable with your ex at our wedding. This is supposed to be about us starting our life together. You are being insecure and controlling. Sebastian is married with a child now. He lives in Denver. This isn't about romance, it is about friendship. But here is the thing. If they are such good friends, why haven't I met him?" In 2 years together, Eva's never mentioned hanging out with Sebastian or even talking to him regularly. The only times his name comes up are these random references to their past. "When is the last time you actually spoke to him?" I asked. Eva got defensive. "I don't keep a timeline of my friendships. K's. We touch base occasionally through social media." I suggested we compromise. Maybe we could grab dinner with Sebastian and his wife before the wedding so I could meet them. Eva immediately shot that down. "That is unnecessary. You will meet him at the wedding. Besides, they probably cannot afford to come to Boston twice with a baby. But if money's tight, why would they spend hundreds on flights and hotels for the wedding of someone Eva dated casually years ago?" The whole conversation left me feeling like I was missing crucial information. Eva was being evasive about basic details: how long they dated, when they broke up, how they stayed in touch. For someone who claims it is ancient history, she seemed awfully invested in having him witness our wedding day. My best friend Max thinks I should just let it go. Dude, she is marrying you, not him. Don't create drama where none exists. But my gut is telling me something's off. Eva's normally very communicative about her friendships and past relationships. The vague answers and defensive tone when I ask for more details don't match her usual openness. Last night I asked Eva more directly, "Did you have feelings for Sebastian when your relationship ended?" Of course I cared about him. You don't date someone for over a year without developing feelings. But that is completely different from still having feelings over a year. 5 minutes earlier she had said maybe a year. Now it is definitely over a year. Why is the timeline shifting? "So you were serious about him, as serious as anyone is in their early 20s. Look, Kaz, I understand why this might feel weird, but Sebastian was an important part of my life. I want him to share in my happiness." That phrase bothered me. Share in my happiness. Why does her ex need to witness her happiness at our wedding? What kind of closure or validation is she seeking that requires his presence on our most important day? I suggested we video call Sebastian together so I could understand their dynamic. Eva refused. "I am not putting my friendships on trial for your insecurity. If you trust me, you will trust my judgment about who belongs at our wedding. But this isn't about trust. It is about respect. Making unilateral decisions about our guest list, especially regarding exes, feels like a violation of our partnership, and her refusal to help me understand their relationship makes me feel like she is hiding something." Reddit, Am I being unreasonable? Part of me thinks Max is right, and I should focus on the fact that EVA chose to marry me. But another part feels like secretly adding your ex to the wedding guest list without discussion crosses a major boundary. How do I tell the difference between normal insecurity and legitimate concerns about my girlfriend's attachment to her past? The wedding is in 6 weeks, and I need to know whether I am overreacting or whether my instincts are picking up on something real. Update 1: Max has business contacts in Denver and managed to connect with Theo Cross, who went to college with Sebastian, and has stayed close friends with him over the years. Max didn't mention the wedding situation, just said he was asking about mutual connections for networking purposes. The conversation started innocently enough. But when Max mentioned Eva's name, Theo's whole tone changed. Eva Rosewood. Dude. Tell me she is not trying to contact Sebastian again. That situation was seriously unhealthy. Apparently, Eva and Sebastian's relationship was nothing like what she described to me. They dated for 3 years, not maybe a year. It wasn't casual. According to Theo, Eva was completely devoted to Sebastian and had their entire future planned out. She talked constantly about marriage, kids, buying a house together. But here's the part that made my stomach drop. Sebastian ended the relationship because Eva was too intense, and he felt suffocated by her expectations. It wasn't a mutual realization that they were better as friends. He dumped her because he couldn't handle her level of attachment, and Eva didn't take it well. Theo said Eva refused to accept the breakup. She continued calling, texting, showing up at Sebastian's apartment uninvited. When Sebastian started dating other people, Eva would contact them with warnings about his commitment issues. She made multiple social media accounts to monitor his activities when he blocked her main profiles. The breaking point came when Eva showed up at Sebastian's workplace demanding to talk. Building security had to escort her out. That is when Sebastian decided to take a job opportunity in Denver, partially for career advancement, but also to get physical distance from Eva's persistent contact attempts. Sebastian moved across the country to get away from her. Theo told Max, "We all thought she would finally gotten the message when the contact stopped about 2 years ago. 2 years ago, right around when Eva and I started dating. When Max told me all this, I felt sick. The woman I am engaged to had been systematically pursuing her ex for months after their breakup, to the point where he fled to another state to escape her. But it gets worse. When I confronted Eva with this information, her story changed completely. Okay, yes. Sebastian and I had a more serious relationship than I initially described. And yes, the breakup was difficult for me, but I was young, and I have grown since then. You told me it was casual and mutual. You have been lying to me for 2 years. I simplified the story because I knew you would overreact exactly like you are doing now. Eva, his friend says, you stalked him until he moved to Denver to get away from you." Her face went white. That is a complete exaggeration. I was persistent about getting closure, but I never stalked anyone, showing up at his workplace, making fake social media accounts, contacting his dates to sabotage them. You don't understand what our relationship meant to me. Sebastian was my first real love. I needed to understand why he threw it away. The manipulation was breathtaking. Even while admitting to the obsessive behavior, she was reframing it as justified by their deep connection. And now you want him at our wedding. I want to show him that I have moved on and found real happiness. I want closure for both of us. That is when it clicked. Eva didn't want Sebastian at our wedding to celebrate our love. She wanted him there to prove she had won by finding someone willing to marry her. Our wedding day was supposed to be her victory lap over the man who rejected her. Eva, if you have truly moved on, why do you need his validation at our wedding? It is not about validation. I just want him to see that I am happy. But if she is happy, why does she need him to witness it? Why does his opinion of her life matter at all? I asked Eva when she would last spoken to Sebastian. She admitted she had reached out 6 months ago to invite him to the wedding. 6 months ago, right around when we started seriously planning our engagement party and wedding timeline. What did he say when you invited him? He said he wasn't sure he could make it, but I put him on the list anyway in case he changes his mind. Sebastian never actually agreed to come to our wedding. Eva added him to the guest list based on her own assumptions about what his non-committal response meant. The level of delusion was staggering. Eva had invited her ex who moved across the country to escape her, assumed his polite deflection meant yes, and planned to use our wedding as a stage for proving her worth to someone who had already rejected her. But yesterday, I discovered something that makes this situation even more disturbing than I initially thought. Update 2: been pulling doubles at work all week. Finally got time to write. The conversation about Sebastian's non-response to the wedding invitation led me to ask Eva more directly about their current level of contact. If you are such good friends, show me your recent conversations with him, I said. Eva hesitated. I don't need to prove my friendships to you. Cause you are asking me to welcome your ex to our wedding. The least you can do is help me understand your relationship. After more back and forth, Eva finally showed me her phone. The message thread with Sebastian was minimal. Just her wedding invitation message from 6 months ago and his polite but distant response. Thanks for thinking of me. I will have to see about travel with the baby. Not exactly an enthusiastic acceptance. But what bothered me was how one-sided it looked. Eva had sent multiple follow-up messages that Sebastian hadn't responded to. Hope you can make it, and would love to catch up. And let me know if you need hotel recommendations. Eva, he is not responding to your messages. This doesn't look like an active friendship. He is busy with work and the baby. I don't expect immediate responses. That is when I made a decision that probably violated trust but felt necessary. I asked to see her social media accounts. Eva reluctantly handed over her phone, showing me her main Instagram and Facebook profiles. But as I scrolled through her activity, I noticed something strange. Several photos of Sebastian and his family had likes from accounts I didn't recognize, accounts with generic names and no profile pictures. Eva, who are these accounts liking Sebastian's posts? She looked uncomfortable. I don't know everyone who follows me. I clicked on one of the generic accounts. It had no posts, followed only a handful of people including Sebastian and his wife, and had been created 2 years ago. Right around when Eva and I started dating. This is a fake account, isn't it? Eva's silence was my answer. How many accounts do you have watching Sebastian's social media? It is not what you think. Cause I wanted to make sure he was doing okay after our relationship ended. I spent the next hour going through Eva's phone more thoroughly. She had 3 additional Instagram accounts, 2 Facebook profiles, and a Twitter account she used exclusively to monitor Sebastian's online activity. The extent of her surveillance was shocking. She knew details about Sebastian's life that she could only have learned through systematic stalking. His wife's pregnancy timeline, his job promotions, their vacation destinations, even their family pet's name. Eva, this isn't checking up on someone occasionally. This is cyberstalking. Don't be dramatic. Social media is public information. Creating fake accounts to monitor someone who blocked you is not public access. It is circumventing their boundaries. The phone evidence revealed that Eva had been tracking Sebastian's life in detail for years while building a relationship with me. She knew about his marriage before it happened, watched his wife's pregnancy progress through photos, and followed every major milestone in their family life. Does Sebastian know you have been watching him through fake accounts? Of course not. Why would I tell him that? Because he has a right to know that someone he cut contact with is still monitoring his private life. Eva broke down crying, but her tears felt manipulative rather than genuine. You are making this sound sinister when it was just curiosity about someone who used to be important to me. But this wasn't casual curiosity. This was systematic surveillance of someone who would explicitly try to end contact with her. Sebastian moved to Denver to escape Eva's pursuit behavior, and she would simply moved her obsession online. The wedding invitation wasn't about friendship or closure. Eva wanted Sebastian at our wedding so she could finally confront him in person after years of watching his life from a distance. I am calling Sebastian to warn him, I told Eva. You cannot. You will ruin everything. That I found someone better than him who actually wants to marry me. Eva, this isn't about us. Our wedding day is supposed to be about us, not about proving something to your ex. It can be both. I love you, Kays, but I also need Sebastian to understand that leaving me was a mistake. The complete lack of insight was staggering. Eva couldn't distinguish between loving me and using me as a prop in her ongoing obsession with Sebastian. I contacted Sebastian that evening through his work email, told him about the wedding invitation, the social media monitoring, and Eva's plan to use our wedding for closure. His response came the next morning. Thank you for warning me. Ophelia and I suspected Eva might still be watching our social media but couldn't prove it. We will be blocking these new accounts and considering a restraining order. Sebastian also confirmed everything Theo had told us about their relationship ending. Eva's version had been completely fabricated to minimize her obsessive behavior. When I showed Eva Sebastian's email response, she was furious. At me, not at herself for the stalking. You betrayed me. You chose his comfort over supporting your girlfriend. I chose basic human decency over enabling stalker behavior. I am not a stalker. I just wanted closure. But closure isn't something you get from monitoring someone's life without their consent for years. Closure isn't ambushing someone at a wedding after they have moved across the country to avoid you. Eva packed a bag and went to stay with her sister Isadora, saying she needed space to think about whether our relationship can survive my fiancé not trusting me. The gaslighting continues even now. According to EVA, the problem isn't her years-long stalking of Sebastian. It is my failure to support her emotional needs. But I know what I discovered in that phone. This isn't about trust or support. This is about whether I can marry someone who spent years lying to me while obsessing over another man. The wedding is in 3 weeks, and I am not sure there is going to be one final update. Phone screen cracked when I threw it after our final conversation. Just got it replaced yesterday. The wedding was supposed to be this Saturday. Instead, I am writing this from my apartment while Eva tells everyone who will listen that I am a controlling psychopath. After Eva went to stay with her sister, I had 3 days of radio silence while I processed everything I had learned. The stalking, the lies about their relationship, the plan to use our wedding as a confrontation stage. All of it felt like marrying a stranger. Sebastian's wife Ophelia reached out to thank me for the warning. We have had a feeling someone was monitoring our social media for months, she said. Photos of our daughter were getting likes from accounts with no posts or followers. It was creepy, but we couldn't prove anything. Learning that Eva had been watching their child's photos made my skin crawl. This wasn't romantic obsession. This was invasive surveillance of an entire family. Thursday night Eva came home wanting to work things out. But her version of working things out was me apologizing for violating her privacy and betraying her trust. I showed you my phone voluntarily, she said, and you used that openness to attack my character and sabotage my friendship with Sebastian. Eva, you have been stalking him through fake accounts for years. That is not friendship. I was protecting myself by staying informed about someone who hurt me deeply. That is normal self-preservation. The reframing was incredible. Systematic surveillance became staying informed, stalking became self-preservation, and my discovery of her deception became the betrayal. What about lying to me for 2 years about your relationship history? I simplified a complicated situation because I knew you wouldn't understand the nuance. There was no accountability, no recognition that her behavior was problematic. Eva genuinely believed she was the victim of my unreasonable jealousy, rather than the perpetrator of systematic deception. I cannot marry someone who has been lying to me while obsessing over their ex, I told her. Fine, but don't expect me to make this easy for you. Eva's retaliation was swift and vicious. She called our mutual friends with her version of events. I would become paranoid and controlling about her innocent friendship with Sebastian. I had invaded her privacy and contacted her ex behind her back. I was too insecure for marriage and had destroyed our relationship over jealousy. Most of our friends only heard Eva's side since I was too exhausted to defend myself against her narrative campaign. Several people who had been planning to attend our wedding reached out to ask what had happened to such a solid couple. I told a few close friends the truth about the stalking and lies, but Eva had already poisoned the well with most of our social circle. According to her, I would become obsessed with controlling her friendships and couldn't handle her healthy relationship with her past. The worst part was watching people I had considered friends choose Eva's victim narrative over asking for my perspective. Max and my brother Stellan saw through her bullshit, but we lost about 60% of our mutual social connections. Eva's sister Isadora actually showed up at my office to yell at me for destroying Eva's happiness over petty jealousy. When I mentioned the fake social media accounts, Isadora dismissed it as Eva's way of getting closure. Apparently, Eva's family knew about the stalking and considered it normal behavior for someone processing a difficult breakup. The enabling went back years. Sebastian and Ophelia sent a thoughtful note thanking me again for the warning and expressing sympathy about the wedding cancellation. We have dealt with stalkers before, Ophelia wrote. You did the right thing protecting yourself and your future. The financial consequences were brutal. Lost deposits on venue, catering, photographer, everything. About $15K down the drain. Eva demanded I pay her back for the dress and other expenses since I would unilaterally canceled our wedding. You canceled it when you decided to stalk your ex while planning our marriage, I told her. The legal threats about wedding costs lasted about 2 weeks before Eva's lawyer explained that systematic stalking wasn't grounds for recovering wedding expenses. It has been 4 months since everything imploded. Eva briefly tried dating apps but apparently kept talking about my crazy ex-fiancé who couldn't handle my past on first dates. Word gets around in Boston's professional community. Last month I heard through Max that Eva was still monitoring Sebastian's social media through new fake accounts, despite their restraining order threats. Some obsessions die hard. I have been focusing on work and rebuilding my social life with people who don't require me to accept stalker behavior as complicated emotional processing. Got promoted to senior associate and bought a house in Cambridge that I can afford on my own. The woman I eventually marry will be someone who is actually available emotionally, instead of auditioning me for a role in her ongoing drama with someone else. Someone who deletes their ex's photos instead of creating fake accounts to monitor them.